Happy Friday, everyone. You're watching CBC News BC. I'm Benit Brach here in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. Let's get to your top stories right now. Well, we actually just heard that BC's getting new air ambulances that are going to be taking flight here. The government says it's a state-of-the-art fleet. So BC Emergency Health Services is replacing its current fleet with 12 new ones, and 9 of the airplanes are meant for regular service. Meanwhile, 3 are backups. The BC government says the first of the air ambulances went into service just last month.
The new planes can land on gravel runways, opening up entirely new parts of the province to air ambulance service. The entire fleet will have a consistent interior design, which is state-of-the-art, making it easier for air paramedics to support patients because everything is in the same spot on every single plane, and it is all modern and cutting edge.
Now, 3 of the planes will be stationed here in Vancouver, 3 in Kelowna and 2 in Prince George. 1 will also be in Fort St. John. And in Surrey, police say there was a shooting this morning. It happened around 8:45 a.m. at 164th Street and 10th Avenue. Police say medics treated 1 man and a suspect fled in a truck. And a short while later, there was a vehicle fire on McMillan Road. Police say it is still too early to say if that was the suspect's vehicle, so we'll be continuing to look for updates there. And today, the sentencing hearing will begin for Ibrahim Ali. He was convicted of killing a 13-year-old Burnaby girl in a park in 2017. There will be several victim impact statements today, including one from the girl's family members. Now, in December, a jury found Ali guilty following a very lengthy trial. Ali now faces a mandatory life sentence with no chance of parole for at least 25 years. Also, a small vigil was held last night to mourn the death of a beloved Vancouver chef. 32-year-old Wataru Kakeuchi was killed early Wednesday morning near Chinatown. His friends and co-workers say he was kind, funny. He was a very talented musician who also loved to play the guitar.
Just a huge hole in just our hearts in the space that's our restaurant. I don't know when we'll feel normal.
And investigators, they haven't released or announced any details of arrests or motives in the attack. In the meantime, officers have ramped up patrol in the neighborhood. We are also keeping a very close eye on Canadian borders. So workers for the Canadian Border Services Agency are possibly going on strike this afternoon. So the Public Service Alliance of Canada Union and the Treasury Board of Canada that oversees the CBSA, they have to come to an agreement before 1 p.m. today. So yeah, that's just almost an hour away. And if not, roughly 9,000 workers are in position to strike.
Bit of a different situation from what we were in 2021 when we had a strike. And I know in 2021 you saw, 7, 8, 10-hour backups at certain borders. There could be disruptions again. It's a different, more fluid situation because we have mediation going on at the same time. So where we go and what strike action looks like really depends largely on how mediation is going.
Now, the union president says they are negotiating factors like pay, retirement, their benefits, capacity for telework, and staffing shortage supports. All right, well, that's it for us. I'm Benit Brach. You're watching CBC News BC. Stay with us for more news updates. BC Today is up next.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. WestJet's new UltraBasic fare gets you on the plane, and that's about it. No seat choice, no carry-ons. Is it a sign of things to come? Are you on board with lower fares, but in exchange for less convenience? Call us on that first. And get those gardening gloves on. The warm weekend weather bodes well for planting. Brian Minter will be here in 20 minutes. And as always, he's taking your calls. I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. Thank you for joining us on CBC Radio 1, CBC Television, and we're live streaming on the CBC News app and on CBC Vancouver's YouTube page. You can call us now on our top story. What do you think of WestJet's new UltraBasic fare? It's a no-frills version of their fare. Is airline travel heading in the right direction? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca. Now, speaking of travel, here's another story we're watching closely this hour. At 1 o'clock Pacific time, about 9,000 workers at Canada Border Services Agency could begin job action, and that's unless a last-minute deal is reached. So that means you might see longer waits at airports and at land borders.
Need to see some movement. This is about getting us up to the level of what the rest of law enforcement is at.
Mark Weber is the national president of the Customs and Immigration Union. Now, in a statement, the Treasury Board of Canada says the government is prepared to make concessions, but there needs to be movement on both sides. We are now 53 minutes away from the strike deadline, and again, that could see workers at Canada Border Services Agency begin job action, and that's unless a last-minute deal is reached. We are watching that story closely for you this hour, and we'll bring you up to date on any developments. Right now on the show, WestJet has announced a new low-cost, no-frills fare, calling it the UltraBasic fare. And it means no carry-on bags unless you're traveling on a transatlantic or trans-Pacific flight, or you could pay extra. You can also bring a personal item as long as it fits under the seat in front of you. It also means you'll be assigned a seat at the back of the plane with no guarantee you can sit with your companions. It means you won't earn points, and it means you'll be the last to board the plane. Also, no changes, no cancellations, or refunds. Now, WestJet said in a statement that UltraBasic has been designed to both expedite the boarding process and provide our most competitive pricing. Well, if some snarky thoughts are running through your mind right now, you're not alone. There's been comedy gold on social media. Here are some posts on X. WestJet, make it a road trip. And that's someone going by the handle Lord Asmodee. And this one, I heard they're testing ultra mega basic fares where you sit in a room and a WestJet employee just describes a vacation to you. That's by Mini Espresso. Okay, so a lot of jokes on social media, but here are some comments from people in downtown Vancouver. CBC's The Early Edition asked folks what they thought about WestJet's new ultra basic fare.
I need a bag to travel, so I think it's kind of a useless fare for most people who doesn't travel with baggage.
They are too stubborn nowadays with the size of the baggage. That is what causes the worst part of it. You have to stuff all the stuff in those little things.
Honestly, I'm paying a lot of money as it is. I would like to just be able to travel. I would like to have a backpack.
I'm not that excited only because I'm not convinced that it's a net benefit for the savings, which I'm also doubtful will be realized.
I think it's a useless way for them to pretend to have cheaper fares when they're not.
Oh, what do you think of WestJet's new ultra basic fare? Is airline travel heading in the right direction? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your phone or email bctoday@cbc.ca. And we do have a lecturer in aviation management joining us in a moment. First, let's hear from Kim in Vancouver. Hi, Kim. What do you think of this idea?
I think it is absolutely insane. I think that I know now, when I book a plane ticket anywhere, I automatically buy my seat right away. And this to me has become part of the fare for me because I absolutely want the convenience. I absolutely want an easier time getting on the plane. I absolutely want an easier time getting off the plane. And I want to be near the front. I do not want to sit at the back by the bathroom.
Yeah,
this is insane.
It sounds like you heard this and all these thoughts just ran through your mind. And there was a time when you could choose your seat and not have to pay extra, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not the case anymore. But I mean, there's a reason that I have Nexus, right? There's a reason that I have all of the things that make the experience of getting from point A to point B easier and more pleasant. Whatever that is, I'm willing to pay some money for it because travel is a headache already. So why, if anyone wants to travel anywhere, would they take the least convenient option? That's insane to me.
Well,
okay, that's my rant.
your rant was well taken and loudly and clearly heard, Kim. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Kim in Vancouver. All right. Well, do you want to rant with us too? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. We reach now John Graddick, a lecturer and the coordinator of the Aviation Management Program at McGill University. Hello there, John.
Hi, how are you today?
I am fine. What was your own reaction to this UltraBasic fare announcement? Was it similar to Kim's?
It was pretty close. So, I was trying to figure out why would WestJet do this? And it further confuses the marketplace. Putting my marketing hat on, I know what WestJet was trying to do. They're trying to put a competitive fare in place with competitive conditions so they can basically make sure they're not losing any traffic to Flair. And so Flair has, similar types of fares where
it's already no frills, right?
That's already no frills.
Yeah.
So what WestJet is doing is they're trying to be all things to all people. You get a premium economy seat on a WestJet flight and they throw the kitchen sink at you, free bags, free carry-on, free meals, the whole 9 yards. But you pay through the nose. And then all of a sudden you have this variety, this plethora of fares that you have to sieve way through it and understand all of the terms and conditions and all of the additional collections they're going to get until you get down to the UltraBasic fare, which is basically business. And that's all you get. Room for your purse or your merce or maybe a laptop, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they're trying to be all things to all people. So this is a marketing strategy by WestJet. It's not, aimed at trying to improve the service level. It's trying to make sure people are not using the overhead bins, because that's a very, very key issue to travelers, is that you allow me to bring carry-on, but there's no room left in the carry-on bins.
Right. Well, yeah, because they're
WestJet,
charging for check-in luggage.
Yeah, and they want to make sure they get the bags when they get to the destination.
Yeah, well, and that's right. We heard all about the lost luggage over the last year or so, right? But they're
trying to manage the space, the limited space on board the airplane when it comes to carry-on baggage and the overhead bins. So they're trying to tackle a technical issue by taking a commercial stance, and it's confusing the heck out of the market. And you heard those comments. I don't think there's many people who are going to buy this fare. In fact, I think you're going to get a lot of people turned off by what WestJet is doing.
To be fair, I've been reading through some of the essays or, the kind of releases on WestJet's website, and they've been talking about Canadians across the country being concerned with affordability and the rising cost of everything. I mean, isn't it beneficial to us to have, this option? Maybe it's not for you, maybe it's not for Kim, other people, but there may be very budget conscious travelers who are thankful for an option like this.
Yeah, there are, but they're few and far between. There's not a big market. Like you're flying from Vancouver to Toronto, and no bags. What are you doing?
Right, no bags. Yeah.
You're going for a meeting, or what, are you just coming straight back, or what?
Yeah.
And if the company's paying for a tab, why are you sitting in such a UltraBasic fare? So the utility of this type of fare is going to be few and far between. And what they're trying to do is trying to have you buy up, because once you get to the airport and you see there's nothing there, if you want a meal, you want a seat, you want to check a bag, whether it's a carry-on or whether it's it's a checked baggage, they're going to ding you big time. And so they're saying you show up at the airport with that type of ticket, guess what? We're going to make some money off of you by charging you whatever you're doing.
If you want anything more, if you want to choose not to sit by the bathrooms. Scott is on the line in Victoria. Hi, Scott.
Hi. Yeah, I don't get it. Why would people complain about options? More options, great. If they ask me to take my shoes off and, carry them on in a bag or something, I'm going to save another $20. I'll do it. Like, you don't have to take the ultra low cost stuff. You can pay premium, sit behind the pilot. But why would you complain about it? This isn't you're not forced You're not forced to take the
Sure.
LVO, right? So
Yeah.
don't complain about it. Options are great. Would you like to have one cell phone carrier or one airline? I lived in the U.S. for 8 years, and yeah, $50 would get you almost anywhere. It was dirt cheap, but it was no frills. Just south of you got Allegiant. They still fly for $40 to Vegas sometimes, right? So, bring it on. I absolutely applaud any company that gives you more options. You don't have to do it if you don't like it.
So
Don't complain.
you're up for this then. You're up for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's always a good thing when there's more options, right?
Scott, I'm so glad you called as well. Love the enthusiasm from our callers today.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Heidi is up next at Cultus Lake. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a good deal. I sort of travel. I just got back from Germany, and it was nice. But I had a little trouble with their ticket gate things in Paris, especially.
Okay.
But I'm going to straighten WestJet out on that, especially for seniors.
When it comes to
of us that were sort of lost in at the Paris airport. Anyway, about this ultra cheap thing, I know it's an option. You can take it if you want it. Like, I wouldn't have mind taking it. I don't care if they sit me by the bathroom because it's convenient for me and my bladder. But the only drawback is, as a senior, a lot of us have to take medication with us, and it has to be on carry-on. It can't be down below.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
That would mean you'd either have to pay more, which is your choice. But I think it's sort of offering something good with one hand and then taking your money out of your wallet with the other.
Do you think, okay, Heidi, thank you very much for that. And just a note as well that you can carry a personal item. So as
they probably would allow that, I guess.
Yeah, as long as it fits in the front seat. And you touched on something else there, which was lost luggage, which we talked about a lot already. Thank you very much for that call, and a really good point there about essentials that you do need, like medication. Ivan is next now at Gabriola Island. Hi, Ivan.
Hello there.
Yeah, thanks for calling. What do you think of this new ultra-basic fare?
Well, I think what would be appropriate, or what we perhaps should do, is take a step back and just ask the question, should we be promoting and should we be encouraging and should we be participating in this flurry of air travel, this post-COVID pent-up demand for air travel? In other words, is it sustainable? What we're assuming is that it's business as usual, that there is no climate emergency, and that we can all just take discretionary air trips whenever we want, wherever we want, as far as we want, and there isn't a cost. But there is a huge cost to all of us, both environmentally and the whole cost of building the infrastructure that's really aimed at discretionary travel. I would posit to you that 9 out of 10 flights are simply to go on some holiday, which isn't a bad thing, but it isn't a requirement. It is something we have to do. But what we're assuming is that air travel is somehow this necessary thing, and we're going to build huge terminals, and we're going to burn millions of liters of expensive fossil fuel to move us around from one holiday vacation to another. And I think perhaps we should just step back and think and re-examine some of our behaviors and realize that some of the things are going to have to change, and we may have to make some different choices. And air travel may be one of those things that we may have to look at in a different light than we are today.
Yeah, really good point, Ivan. Thank you very much from Gabriola Island. And John, what about that? I see this, could it be a deterrent for people from air travel, saying it's just getting too inconvenient now, or I suppose the goal of WestJet is to have more people traveling, but where does the impact on the environment fit into how airlines strategize these days?
I like the caller's point of view. I think, that is something that is close to my heart in terms of understanding, the impact of air travel on the environment. The industry is like generating somewhere around 3% of all the emissions today come from aviation. As everyone is kind of hunkering down and reducing emission levels, the airlines are looking at somewhere around 10% of the world's emissions will come from aviation by 2035. So it's not going the right way. And I think, it'll be a consumer choice. You can book today on flights, and you can go on Expedia, you can go on a number of websites, and they will tell you what the emissions are going to be for the itinerary that you have in front of you. And you can make choices on flights, not only by dollars and by the amount of time you're going to be spending in the air or on the ground, but you can also understand the impact that that flight pair or that flight you're going on is going to contribute in terms of emission levels. So the world is starting to get very sensitive, to publishing at least the emission levels. And you as a customer, you as a traveling public, can then make a intelligent decision about, how much does the environment mean to you, and how much of a contribution are you making to emission levels. So it's a very, very valid point. It's going to get more and more strenuous. It's going to become much more of an issue. I think you have cities around the world, you have locations around the world that are now looking at, what's the maximum capacity that this location can handle in terms of visitors. So you have places like Venice, you have places like Machu Picchu, you have places like Bali that basically are saying, enough. We have too many people as it is. We're stressing our local environment. So we're going to start charging people $50 a day, $100 a day.
Okay.
And that's going to be a way to control of the amount of people coming through those areas.
Interesting to see how it figures into that planning. Let's take David in Vancouver. Hi, David. What are your thoughts on the UltraBasic fare?
I think it's just fantastic that I can fly within my budget, because I don't take anything with me except my toothbrush and my underwear. So
you got a thumbs up from John there.
Absolutely. I still travel, and when I get to my destination, I've got a pretty good idea where the local thrift shops are. I buy an entirely new outfit. Sometimes it's a little outrageous, but according to the weather, if I'm in Montreal and it's raining, I buy a raincoat.
Okay. And what do you do with it on the way back?
I bring them all back and donate them here and get something else.
Okay, so you do travel, you do carry carry-ons or check-in luggage on the way back?
None. I wear the clothes.
Oh, you wear the clothes.
You missed the point. I go to Montreal with the clothes I have on in Vancouver. I pick up new clothes if I need it.
I gotcha.
In Montreal.
Okay.
Have you heard of recycling and reusing and all that?
I sure have. To be fair, that is an unusual hack and habit that you have, but it is a very interesting one and useful one. I suppose you don't travel for long though. Like you're not there for a long time.
But listen, it's about travel. It's not about sartorial advantages or anything like that.
Yeah.
I look kind of, I'm a screenwriter. I have no money.
Sure. And so you're, okay. All right. It's about function, not fashion, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. David, thank you so much. I love the listeners today. These callers are awesome. John, thank you very much for joining us. Certainly something we'll watch and see if it does pick up, if it takes off with consumers.
We'll find out. And we're not done yet. Do you think this is something that you're going to be looking at restricting carry-on bags?
They're still coming. John, thank you. Have a great day. Take care. John Graddick, lecturer at the Aviation Management Program at McGill University. 12:25 now. We are continuing to watch for updates on that mediation between the Canada Border Services Agency and the Treasury Board of Canada. And so if a deal is not reached in just over half an hour from now, 1 p.m. Pacific, border service workers, about 9,000 of them, will be in a legal strike position. The union says it will begin job action immediately. And the strong possibility there is work to rule, because a lot of them are essential workers. And so that's according to Carleton University Associate Professor of Management, Ian Lee. Now, Lee says the Canadian economy, though, will be affected.
It's going to have a very significant impact because we're a trading nation. We're an open economy trading nation. 2/3 of our GDP is exported and imported. If you just look at the import side coming into Canada, it's about 1/3 of $2.5 trillion. That's an awful lot of money, of industries, of jobs that are dependent. I mean, just to state the obvious, we import, as I like to remind my students, we import very large amounts of tomatoes and blueberries and cucumbers because we can't grow them in a snowbank in Ottawa in January, and probably can't grow them very well in the summertime either. So we are particularly vulnerable as past disruptions at the border have shown. And so although this isn't technically a strike, it's a slowdown, it's almost a distinction without a difference, because it doesn't matter the reason, whether it's truckers' protests or civilians or indigenous peoples or border guards. If you stop or slow down significantly the flow of people and goods across the border, it has a huge impact on our economy.
That's a pet crossing. Well, we are about 30 minutes away from that strike deadline, and Canada Border Services Agency, again, could begin job action at 1 p.m. Pacific if there is no deal. So stay with us here on CBC for the latest. 12:27 now, and gardeners watch the weather more closely than others, and we are heading into a sweet spot weather-wise. Our gardening columnist, Brian Minter, is here to talk about why now's the time. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Michelle, nice to talk to you. My goodness gracious, what a beautiful day.
It is, and a beautiful one for gardeners.
Especially that. Okay. Anyway, Michelle, one of the things that, because we are seemingly with the May weather, push things back a wee bit in terms of the night temperatures being very cool, a lot of rainy, cool nights that really kind of people held off a wee bit, kind of making sure that, things didn't go backwards. And my goodness, last weekend, the rain and the driving rain, Monday and Tuesday and so on, anything that was outside really got beat up quite a bit. So that brings us to the point of right now. Here we are, 7th, 8th of June, 9th, 10th, getting that area. And people are saying, well, is there enough time to be able to grow a lot of products? And this is the thing we want to explain to everybody, and very genuinely, that the fact that there is lots of time to start everything. And usually most of the province, and it's changing a wee bit in the north right now, listening to so many gardeners up there that they used to have frosts in August, that's been delayed into September. So, we really have essentially 90 to 100 days of good growing time yet. And just to throw this out a wee bit here, for tomatoes that are started and ready to go, basically 70, 75 days will get you tomatoes. Cucumbers, 50 days, 52 days in terms of once they're up and actually growing from transplant. Peppers too, the sweet peppers in particular, about 70, 72 days. So you see, we've got a really good window. And I know a lot of our CBC listeners start their own plants, so they're pretty good size right now. And so I think we're absolutely great. And all the lettuce varieties, the Swiss chard, that type of thing, and the brassicas, remember, we have early, mid-season, and late, and the same with potatoes. So you've got adequate time to do everything in a garden. And, even starting from seed, I wouldn't look at my tomatoes and peppers from seed right now. They need to be transplants, but the seed in the gardens. And remember, this time of year, we're getting close to the longest day of the year. The sun is right up there, so we've got the best temperatures you think you're going to have all year round for growing. And the long days, certainly we get better growing time. So I'm very comfortable in terms of people being discouraged. And even color out now. We wanted to get, the late colorful crops, like all the beautiful zinnias that people love, and impatiens and so on for color in the garden, for annuals, and all the perennials too. Adequate time to be able to get them in, and and not a sense of rush. Just don't rush and grab everything. Get the things you absolutely love to have, because all I'm saying is you got a long, wonderful summer ahead of us. And the CBC long range forecast that I heard the other night is that the rest of the country is going to be extremely hot. BC is supposed to have, usually normal temperatures we have in the summertime. So that's a good sign. I think all the signs are pointing towards a great gardening season. And I just wanted to let people not get discouraged. Oh, I've missed the window. There's no window. You've got lots of opportunity to plant everything and have, I think, wonderful crops to enjoy all the way through the summer. And I'm going to nag people in the lower mainland in particular about the early part of July, because one of our best growers of vegetables in this particular area starts so many plants, even from seed, on July the 12th, saying that is a perfect time to get things up to harvest in late summer going into fall. So you've got wonderful winter crops. With the vegetable prices being so high, that just makes a lot of sense.
Aha. bearer of good news, Brian Mincher. He is our gardening columnist here on the show, and he'll join us right after the news update to take your gardening questions. As always, our numbers are 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. 12:32 now, and here's a CBC News update with Robert Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. There could soon be longer delays trying to cross the border here in BC and across the country. 9,000 workers with the Canada Border Services Agency could start working to rule in about half an hour. The union is demanding higher pay, the possibility of working from home, and the ability to retire after 25 years of service. BC's Jobs Minister says the province is seeing strong employment growth in the private sector with a gain of nearly 33,000 positions year over year. Brenda Bailey says BC is second among the provinces for private sector growth. A statement from Bailey's office says the latest labor results show the new positions are among nearly 80,000 jobs added since May of last year. And the province is promising a state-of-the-art air ambulance fleet with 12 new Beechcraft King Air aircraft coming. The first of the air ambulances went into service last month. 3 of the planes will be stationed here in Vancouver, 3 in Kelowna, 2 in Prince George, and 1 in Fort St. John. And now the forecast on the north coast. Sunny and a bit windy this afternoon with a high of 19. Highs reaching 20 with sunshine in the Peace. In the central interior, including Prince George, sunny with a high of 20 as well. Warm and sunny in the Kootenays with highs up to 27. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, a high of 24 with lots of sunshine. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and the Fraser Valley, mainly sunny this afternoon, windy in some areas with highs up to 26 inland. And that's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Do you travel light?
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
I went to Australia last January, and yes, just took a carry-on for a month. So I would say yes, I do.
For 1 month. That's really good. So I guess this
shorts and flip-flops though.
I mean, that's really all you need. So the UltraBasic fare by WestJet, whereby you can't even have a carry-on unless you'd like to pay extra, but you can have a small item, a personal item that would fit underneath. I think I could do that.
Well, I guess it would depend how long you go,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, sure. I could do that for a weekend in Vegas, but I don't know about a month in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
That's a little extreme.
Yeah, things could get a little pungent.
Yes, they could.
To be fair, I think they did say that any transatlantic, trans-Pacific flights you could do
I'm sure.
carry
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is just, traveling to Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people probably end up packing too much. So this is,
That's true, actually.
it's better for the environment, presumably, if the plane's lighter.
Yeah, good point. Edit that down. Edit down your luggage. Okay, I am hoping to go somewhere, hopefully in the summer. So we'll see if I can.
You'll have to report back.
Be
on that.
successful. Rob, thank you very much.
Sure thing.
I won't smell though when I come back. I promise.
Great news.
Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. A couple of emails here on air travel. Mary writes, I once went to Calgary for 2 days on Flair and only took a 16-inch backpack. Wow, very good. And Maggie wrote us as well, living in northern BC. And I think I might be using Air Canada more now. Thanks for your emails, bctoday@cbc.ca. And BC Today's gardening columnist Brian Mincher is here to take your questions on all things gardening. And again, you can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Let's go to Dawn in Nanaimo. Hi, Dawn.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Brian. My question is, I'm glad to hear that it's still time to get the garden in because we're still preparing the beds. And
Good.
What came
That's
up
wonderful.
Is, what came up is that digging all through them, found this spurge of the garden, morning glory.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So that's the first part of the question. How do we get rid of morning glory in gardening beds where we're going to be growing vegetables? And the second is with another invasive vine, ivy, that's grown up meters into trees. Can we just pull it back from around the base without having to take it out of the entire tree? But morning glory.
Yeah, Don, both very good questions, and you know, it's hand-to-hand combat, I'm afraid, for both. I'm sorry. You know, one of the things when we have our garden beds, a lot of folks don't do this, but the wisdom early on in the season, before you got all your soil in, is to put a really commercial grade landscape fabric on the very bottom. Because in doing so, it'll keep the water going through, the air going through, but weeds won't go through if you use a commercial grade. So that's hindsight. But the nice thing about morning glory, and I've fought it for years, you know, learning how to combat them. But you have to find the major plants, the mother plant where the things originate. If you can keep following back the little shoots that come up everywhere, and get that major clump out, it makes it much easier to handle. And again, I always joke about this, but you know, for us, it's a nuisance. For them, it's life and death. So who's going to work a little harder to make sure they survive? But you know, without getting any chemicals involved, honestly, a good fork. I love those D-handle ladies forks. They're so efficient. Dig down, find them out, get the roots, and just follow it back. And you know, if you do get the odd ones escaping coming up, they're easy to handle. So you just have to be determined. And ivy, you're right. Do cut it off wherever it is around the trees, because ultimately it's not a great thing for the tree. It looks nice sometimes, but again, what you want to do at the same time, though, once you've made that cut, and do it in several spots, not just in the bottom and pull up, make it the cut around the tree as high as you can reach, maybe up in a stepladder as well. And then once you've got two sections cut off, just carefully pull them out. It may cling to the tree a wee bit, and the bark of the outside there, that's not going to hurt the tree, but tug it out, get it out. And again, once you've got the major separation of the roots, and then you go down to the very bottom when you've done all that, to dig out what you can, it really is game over. And just a little persistence, but it can be done. And the more entrenched it is, of course, a little more difficult. But once you get the hang of it, it comes off, and then we're done. So good luck, Dawn. A good, nice job to do for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Gloves off. Get down and dirty.
Yeah.
Dawn in Nanaimo, good luck to you. Yeah, a little bit of a project for you this weekend, it sounds like. Mary is calling us now from Vancouver. Hi, Mary.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Brian, I have tried growing fritillaria. The Latin name is Imperialis rubra. In a big pot on my deck for a few years now, and each year the plant seems to grow well, and then it turns yellow and flops over before flowering. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, a couple of things. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful plant. And the beauty of this plant, and I was in the Keukenhof Gardens in Holland. They had them everywhere in the center of their flower beds, because the bulbs just smell like skunk. And of course, it's a great repellent. And if you don't believe me, leave one in your car overnight. You'll see what I mean.
I'll take your word for it.
So it's working, even though maybe the flowers aren't doing well, but the bulb is certainly working to keep, you know, some of the rodents and other little nasties away out of our gardens. But they don't like to be too wet, to be honest with you. And when you first buy the bulb, it's got a huge hole in the center, and that's where the stem was. So I never plant them straight up and down. I always plant them on an angle because water would run, especially when we have areas where you're watering heavy, the bulb will pull of water. So plant them on an angle. That is very, very important. But and just watching and observing them, because we grow them in containers as well, not a huge problem. But as soon as they tend to bloom, though, Mary, I find that they do go yellow pretty quickly. They don't have a long blooming period. Pollinators love them, by the way, just as another bonus. But planting them on an angle in incredibly well-drained soil are probably the two things that are going to make a difference for you, and getting them to stay in bloom and not go yellow on you.
That's great, Mary. Thank you very much. Sounds like they're beautiful, but not beautiful smelling. Is that?
No, not the bulbs. No.
Wendy is our next caller now in Prince Rupert. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
Hi. What's your question for Brian?
Oh, thanks for having me on. My question is about a fruit tree. I have an old apple tree espaliated against one side of the south wall, And then the other side, I've got, it's a south wall too, trying to espaliate pyrifolia, the, what you call it, pear apple. The problem is, it's done really well up until now. And this year, it's got, it produced about 4 flowers compared to last year where there was loads of them, and I had some good-sized fruit, not like you'd buy in a store, but they were very good. So I'm wondering what's gone wrong because there's a little bit of a difference in the leaf color. There's a patch that's really green, and then there's a section that's sort of off green, and wondering what I need to feed it.
Okay. Now, what are you feeding them at the present time? What have you been feeding it?
Well, I started off with a whole bunch of compost and seaweed and manure and compost and manure. And last year it just got a little bit of everything, not too much.
Okay.
I'm wondering if.
Now, Wendy, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, getting organics in our ground are great, but essentially it's not getting what it needs for phosphorus and potash in the ground and micronutrients as well. And I think wherever the drip line, because once you espaliate a plant, the roots are going to follow the leaves going sideways out there. So I would say 4 or 5 feet away from the trunk, or even 3 feet, that's where you want to put a line of nutrient. And we always recommend the 10, 15, 19. It's a flower and veg produced in BC by TerraLink with the micronutrients in it. It makes all the difference. It even has boron in it, which helps flowers set fruit. So I think we need the higher phosphorus and potash, Wendy, to get the plant actually in a fruit producing mode. That's certainly one thing. And I would do that now. And I would do it again midsummer to trying to build up the bud formation and the spur formation for next year, both on your Asian pear and on the apple tree. And in terms of apple trees, depending on the variety, so many started out well, but the rain we had in late April and going into May really got a lot of them off to a bad start. They, got shot hole fungus and mildew on a lot of them as well. So, Wendy, it's just a weather issue. I think the weather we're getting now will turn things around, but they need feed desperately, and particularly the 10, 15, 19, or something similar to get that high phosphorus and potash. And Wendy, if you get that on, I guarantee within a few weeks you'll see quite a difference. We can't get the lost flowers back, but we can certainly help prepare them for next year.
You can turn things around. Wendy, thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thanks for answering my question.
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for asking the question that I'm sure a lot of people with apple trees are wondering about right now, Brian. Let's take one email question here from Joanne in the Comox Valley. Our very old Rhodo has taken over a huge part of our window view. She sent a picture, lovely bay window, but it's grown to about half of the window. And she says, it's just finished blooming. How far down can I prune it without harming it?
Yeah, and a really good question here because so many rhodos are now in bloom. Many are finishing bloom right now. And as the new growth is really starting in earnest, that's the best time of the year to start pruning back your rhodos because quite frankly, they do get overgrown. And so what I'd like to do is just prune it down to the level or perhaps a little bit more so it has room to grow once you get it, prune it back. But the point is, let's do that right now. And one thing to remember, rhodos will break out of old wood, which is great. So it will take, the harder you go into the older, tougher wood, the longer it takes to get new growth coming out, but it will come out. And essentially over the summertime, it'll start to grow. I like to pinch some of that growth back a wee bit to get it to branch out even more, but no harm in doing it. It may look like a little bit of a plucked chicken for a while, but trust me, they come back and they come back very quickly. And in no time, you'll have a beautiful rhodo, but much lower so you can see out the window.
Oh, yeah, you'll have she's got a lovely picture window there. So I'm sure it will be a really nice view for you to have your coffee and look out there. Thanks so much for the email. Patrick is calling us now from Langley with a question for our gardening columnist, Brian Minter. Hi, Patrick.
Hi there. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure.
A bit of a follow-up question. I talked to you last year, Brian. We were moving over here to Langley, and we brought with us 6 very mature blueberry plants and followed your instructions on removing the greenery, the leaves from them, and brought them over, planted them here. This year, I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing as far as helping them along. There's very little green that's come back this year, and they're looking a little dry and withered. So, yeah, just wanted to see what I could do.
Yeah, Patrick, did you put fir hemlock bark mulch into the planting hole when you did transplant them?
Yes, we did actually. That's right.
He's a good student of yours, Brian.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate doing that. I think the best thing right now, it was a shock. It was the wrong time of year, but we got them to live. Those are positive things. I think the next thing right now, I'd love you to go and pick up a liquid transplanter. What it is indobuturic acid and other materials that really encourage the roots to grow. And I would say put it in a watering can and go around the drip line of the tree on all of these blueberries once a week. And just encourage the roots. Everything's going to depend on those roots. And they're coming now. They're obviously alive, but they need a little help. So using Root Booster on a regular basis, I think is the only thing you can do. And some of the wood that looks a little tired or some dead branches, don't be afraid to prune them out because you want new green. It's the green leaves that are going to produce the food for the plant as well. So transplanter on a weekly basis, a little bit of pruning. And let's just kind of say this is a year of recovery. And next year we should get this back into shape so you'll have a great blueberry crop. So I'd love you to do that, Patrick, if you possibly can.
Fantastic. That sounds great. Will do.
Patrick,
Good.
thank you very much. Update us next year, okay?
Absolutely.
That's Patrick calling from Langley about his blueberry plants that he transplanted and not quite looking green just yet, but yes, on their way. Liz is our next caller now from Nelson. Hi, Liz. Welcome. Thanks for calling in to Brian Minter.
Thanks for taking my call. So last year I planted a beautiful Honeycrisp apple tree. I didn't know to put protection around the bark, and rodents ringed it completely. How can I save my tree?
Now, here's the thing, Liz. Do we have bark in some areas that go completely around the tree? So in other words,
No.
the rodents, did they chew? They did. Oh, good. That's what I wanted to hear.
No,
Okay.
No, I'm saying that they ringed it there are spots that's entirely ringed. There's no bark.
And okay, so it's a wait and see at this point. I wish I had better news, but basically clean up the bark with a knife, so make sure that it's tight against the stem, and let's see if we can get. If it's not too deep, is it more than a few centimeters in terms of width? This cut
surface.
Okay. So fingers crossed. I would basically just get it cleaned up, and the Arbor Society is saying that putting any kind of material on this isn't going to help the healing process. The tree will do itself, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that bark will heal itself on small cuts like that.
It struck me as particularly a tall tree with lots of branches.
Yeah.
Could I prune those some back to give the roots some less to have to support? And it was loaded in blossoms. Yeah. The blossoms have died, of course.
Yeah.
Should I take them all off? I mean, how could I reduce the capacity of the
stress
tree?
on the tree? Yeah, that's brilliant. Way to go. I would say halfway or even 2/3 of the way, because it's like a do-over right now. And you're absolutely right. Where the roots provide the water, there's an interruption with that. And while we're waiting for the tree, the bark to be able to heal, having less to support on the tree is so much better. So fingers crossed, it's always possible. And so let's wait and see, but do that hard pruning on top. And I would do it as soon as I possibly can.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like you called in time, Liz. Do some of that work right now. Fingers crossed for you.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck to you. That's Liz in Nelson calling about her Honeycrisp apple tree, rather. And our next caller now for Brian Minter is Abigail in North Vancouver. Hi, Abigail.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Abigail.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm calling about a trumpet vine. I have a hugely overgrown trumpet vine in the back. It's about, 12 feet long, 20 feet high. And every year for 14 years, it's just been ablaze with red trumpet flowers, which, of course, is beautiful for the hummingbirds and for the bees. But last year, there were no blossoms at all. And so this year, I'm wondering if there's anything I can do. I have read up, which says that they don't want rich soil, they don't want any fuss, and it's never been treated really or fertilized or anything. So, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I sure do. And by the way, every time we talk about this, in deference to the Invasive Plant Council of British Columbia, the trumpet vine is invasive. And two issues here. Number one is in winter, just simply go around the plant as much as you can, maybe 2-3 feet out, and do a root pruning so it doesn't extend into that. And I just wanted you to know Abigail, that there are new varieties called Summer Jazz, for example, a whole series of new plants that are not invasive. So people get worried about that. And I just wanted to say that it's controllable. But you put your finger on it. Yeah, I think it's tired. And let's get some, we talked about the 10, 15, 19. With the micronutrients in it would be the best thing to put on right now. Now, I bet you have good vigor, though. This has been a pretty good year for the trumpet vine. It's a hardy plant. Abigail, you got good growth on it now, do you?
Yeah, it seems to grow. It's really, leafing out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just not getting the flowers in the summertime. So 10, 15 now and 19 now, and 10, 15, 19 in about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I think you'll be absolutely fine. We just need that push of the phosphorus and potash. It's organic, basically, and it will make all the difference in the world. That's all you have to do. The other thing I find that always works is a bit mean, but what I do is in the summertime when it gets really, really hot and we have stretch of hot weather, I sometimes don't water it. I put it under a little bit of stress, and the plant will suddenly say, oh, I think I'm going to die. I better produce flowers so I can produce seeds. And that starts a whole sequence of things happening. So a little bit of meanness, I think, this summer, and a little bit of phosphorus and potash. We're going to be in good shape.
A little bit of love, a little bit of meanness.
A little bit of tough love,
Brian.
It's like parenting.
Thank you
Abigail, thank you very much. You are the plant whisperer. So you know what's going on in their minds. Those summer jazz trumpet vines, by the way, gorgeous, just beautiful red color. Let's take another caller here. Linda in Nelson, welcome. Thanks for calling in.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my call. This may be repeating some of the questions that were already asked, but as the weeks progress, I'm finding yet another new and very disappointing thing happening to my trees. We have a couple of things, and I'm not sure what to do with it. For instance, a golden chain, usually it's just finishing a profusion of blossoms. I think we have 2 chains this year.
Okay.
And should I, because it's kind of tall and I'd like to shape it a bit, is it able to be shaped, and is now the time to do it because we've had no blossoms?
Yeah, and you know what? For the many trees right now that they're actively growing, you're getting things you want to change about the tree. Now's the time to do it. 4 or 5 inch branches, that's a little thick to prune, but anything less than that, 2-3 inches across, prune it, and they're very, very trainable. These laburnums are absolutely great. Matter of fact, I was in New Zealand a few years ago, and a lady had built a beautiful arbor, and she was taking the laburnums and draping them over both sides, training them right down to go in a semicircle, so the blossoms would hang down through this arbor, which was incredible. But yeah, let's prune it back right now and kind of shape it and the way we want to do that, because they can be a bit sloppy. As a young tree, I know they tend not to be the straightest little arrow you're going to find. But yeah, pruning right now, and at the same time, I would feed it. So again, I'm stuck on this fertilizer 10, 15, 19, because we're not getting the number of blossoms you'd love to have. Yeah, but that will make all the difference in the world. So yeah, let's go for it and get the tree back in shape and get some nutrients so we can get some blossoms next year.
Oh, there you go, Linda. Good news for you. Thanks for the call from Nelson. Any tips for Sean for a 12-year-old coronation grape plant that is producing very little growth this spring? Will it produce next year?
Well, depending where did Sean say where he was from?
No.
Okay, I wonder if we're a little closer to the Okanagan. Sovereign Coronation is a great grape. It's one of the highest rated in Ontario, for example. But I think because of our cold winter, look what happened to the Okanagan and the death of so many grapevines.
You're right. Okanagan. He's in Vernon.
Yep. It really got beat up. And so just if you're getting some green, let it come slowly. Don't do a lot. And when you see more vigor coming with better weather and warmer weather, again, a little bit of nutrient. I would even use the 10, 15, 19 to get the grape coming. So it's recovery that we're talking about. And again, a little bit of patience, but the fact that it is growing, giving you some green, I think you're going to find it will recover and be absolutely fine.
Aha. Yeah, love those, by the way. And Sean was very smart because the first email only had the question and then shot another one right away, straight away saying, from Vernon, because of course this was going to be your follow-up question. So smart person emailing us. Brian, I just thought it was delightful to hear you say, go right ahead today. You get the green light for me. Get planting. I think our gardeners are going to have a great weekend.
And Michelle, could I do a real quickie here in Castlegar? We have so many listeners, but the Peony Society, Yukon and BC Peony Society are having a show for June 14th and 15th in Castlegar. It's going to be at the Sandman Inn. It's a big deal in that particular area. And so if we're any folks living near that area, please take in the show June 14th and 15th in Castlegar for the wonderful peony show there. So thank you for allowing me to get that in for them.
Gotta love peonies. Brian, have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Good luck in your gardens. Thank you.
Brian Minter, our BC Today gardening columnist. He joined us from Country Garden Limited in Chilliwack, and he'll be back in 2 weeks.